All right, now, those of you, and I recognize a number of people here, those of you who come to any of my talks know my philosophies, but the philosophies are particularly important given what we're talking about today. So the first philosophy is the only person you can control is yourself. In fact, the only thing you can control is yourself. Now, does anybody here believe that you have absolute control over another person? Good. That's good. Because it really, it's very unpleasant when I have to spend a half an hour arguing with people. But it's good. You're a rational audience. You know that you don't control other people. But I know as a psychologist that most of you act as though you ought to be able to control other people. And the reason I know that is by how pissed off people get when other people refuse to do the right thing. And you all know what the right thing is, don't you? What's the right thing? What I want you to do, that's the right thing. Conversely, if you don't do what I want you to do, you're doing the wrong thing. That is actually the essence of marriage counseling. Okay, two people come in, love each other, they're married to each other, and they both say, well, he refuses to do the right thing. She refuses to do the right thing. But if you understand that you don't have control over other people, why would you get all upset when they don't do what you want them to do? You ought to figure that the probability is they're not going to do what you want them to do. In fact, in my own life, it is a stellar day when anyone does anything that I want them to do. I mean, people just insist on doing what they want to do. I don't get it. So, okay, the fact that you don't have control is one thing. So what do you have? If you don't have control, what do you have? It's not just like, okay, well, then we can't deal with people. What do you have?
Influence.
I heard it, I think.
Influence.
Influence! Thank you. Yes, we have influence. Or we don't. All of you know, in looking at your relationships with other people, how influential you are, or how influential you are not. When you have a reasonable expectation that the person you're dealing with will listen to you and carefully consider your point of view before making a decision, then you have a lot of influence. Still doesn't mean they're going to do what you want, but we at least want people to hear us and consider our point of view. Now, those of you who are parents know that when kids are very little, you have a lot of influence, right? When they're early, well, woman over here kind of shrugs, and I agree with that as a parent, because they still have a tendency to cry at inconvenient times, sleep at inconvenient times, and eliminate waste at inconvenient times. So we don't even have control over that. But it gets worse, right? Because at each stage of development, we start to lose a little bit of influence, right? So when kids start to crawl around, it's scarier than when you can just put them in a box, right? You just put them in a carrier and they can't move. That's like the best influence, right? Because they can't move, they're not going anywhere. And then they start to wander around because they're crawling, right? So you put up all kinds of fences and baby gates and things like that, and I don't know, invisible fences, you put a shock collar around their neck, they get too far from the perimeter, it's like, they learn. Then they learn to walk, and oh my God, ride a bike, drive a car. For parents, this is scary stuff. But what the challenge for us is, if we are parents, how do you maintain influence? For many individuals, the largest challenge in development is when our young people reach adolescence. Because now they have all these other people influencing them. And media is influencing them. And their friends are influencing them. And social networking is influencing them. And the question is, how do I, as mom or dad, maintain that influence?